In this section, we'll be going over how to set up our camera and do some basic render settings to get our final picture. All right, let's start by learning how to position our camera. We have our basic default Blender scene here, and what we want to do is we can actually go into camera view by pushing the 0 key on the numpad, and that'll show you where our current view is. To move our camera around, we can either do it externally from the camera view or within the camera view. So if I go back out of camera view by hitting 0 again, and I click on the camera, and if I go into 7, and I just grab my camera and move it over, and then rotate. I can rotate and I can constrain to an axis, rotate on the Z, or rotate on the X. You can externally move your camera like that. But also I can go into camera view, and as long as I have my camera selected, I can grab and I can go on the X axis, or I can grab and go on the Y axis and move my camera, rotate on the Z, whichever way. This way you can set up a little bit better. So let's go ahead and tab out. Push 0 to get out of camera view. Let's hit 5 to go into in orthographic view. Another thing we can do is if we hover around our scene and we get something we like. So if we like this cube from this angle here, we can do the shortcut key Control-Alt-0, and that'll put us in that view. We'll put the camera in that view. If I click on the camera and I hit grab and I hold the middle mouse button down, I can zoom in and out. Now you'll notice once you release the middle mouse button, it goes back to where it was, and all you have to do is again and then left click. So that's another way of zooming in your camera, as long as your camera is selected here. All right, let's get out of camera view. Let's put a couple other objects in the scene with this. So let's hit Shift A. Let's add a mesh, a monkey. Grab on the Y-axis. Grab on the X-axis, and let's take them over to the side here. And we'll do a Shift A, mesh, and let's just do a torus. We'll grab that on the X-axis, and we'll put it on this side here. All right, another thing we can do, let's go into front view, Control-Alt-0, and that'll put us in our front view perspective. Let's grab it, G key, and hold down the middle mouse button, scroll back, pull your mouse wheel back, and you can zoom out, and then left click. Another thing we can do is we can track the constraint of the camera. So if we want to follow just an object, and this would be more in animation or something like that, if we click our camera and then we shift click, say the monkey, and I hit Control T, I can say track to constraint. Now this means that whenever I grab my camera, if I grab my camera and I pull it up, nothing happens other than my camera. So grab on the Z and I just pull it up, nothing happens. But now if I take the monkey and grab on the Z, the camera will follow its motion. So this would be good for animation, or even sometimes if you're just doing a still life, having a something you can follow. Because let's go ahead and Control Z a couple of times, get rid of that track to constraint. One thing that Blender has is something called an empty. So let's do let's go into 1, and let's do Shift A, and let's add down here where it says empty. And we'll just say a plain axis empty. Now what an empty does, grab that on the Z, what an empty does is just an axis. It doesn't, if you go into this view here, you can see it, but if I go into rendered mode, it disappears. See a couple times getting thing. Don't forget to put this into cycles render, and we'll do that again just to show you that it's not. If you see it doesn't show up. See a couple times go in there. But we can do the same trick here. We can say, pick this, and then shift select empty, Control T, track to constraint. Now what we can do is if we grab this empty here and we move it around, we can move it to where we want it to be. So if we grab it and we put it on the monkey, we go into 1 and we grab, pull this down, then we hit 0. It's locked on the monkey here. Now you could grab your camera itself and it won't affect your empty. And we can just move it, and that way we can put whatever we want to. The light, you can put it on the light. You can track different objects to different objects. One thing I want to add here is I've retracked this to the head of Suzanne. Now, like I said, if you grab this on the Z, it'll follow the monkey, but also if you grab the camera and move around, it'll always focus on Suzanne. But if you want to get rid of this constraint, if you click your camera and then you do Alt-T, we want to clear the track. And that gets rid of the tracking properties. So no longer is tracked to that.